last week, which I was supposed to do this, but I do have a little bit of something that I would like to share, which is if we could go into Proverbs. It's I titled this as "How Shall We Use Our Mouth or Our Tongue?" Um, but let's go into Proverbs 10, verse 6 through 21. 10, verse 6, which says, blessings are for the head of the righteous, but the speech of the wicked is a cover for violence. I don't really. I sort of understand this as don't make excuses for the wrongs that you have done to somebody else, but I could be wrong. But going on, it says.
Dave, where are you? I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
It's Proverbs.
Yes. 6?
10, verse 6.
Oh, 10 6. I had 16. Sorry.
But in this translation, it is the Jewish Bible. Then 6 through 21. So. He who walks in purity walks securely, but he who walks in crooked ways will be found out. Oh, sorry. The memory of the righteous will be for blessings, but the retribution of the wicked will be brought. The wise-hearted people take orders, but babbling fools will have trouble. I usually think about this as how shall we use our mouth in sorry 11 verses 9 through 14 also I have that down. With his mouth the hypocrite can ruin his neighbor, but by knowledge the righteous are delivered. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there is joy. By blessing of the upright, a city is raised up, but the words of the wicked tears it down. I don't really have much on this one, but this is more of a conversational piece that I'm trying to put together. So if anybody has something to say. I don't really have much written for this one.
Whoever derides their neighbor has no sense, but those who has understanding holds their tongue. You don't understand that one? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm trying to say is this is more for a conversational effect.
Oh. No, I spot on about things. The tongue can be a very wicked thing, and it shows the heart of man or woman.
What I'm trying to say is, in everything that we do and throughout life, we do have those days where it's really easy to go into our emotion and say something that's completely, like, not fully thinking and not fully understanding what we're saying. But what I'm trying to do is, and yes, again, this falls upon me because I say things that I don't really mean at the moment, but I say it out of frustration or I say it out of nowhere and I don't really think about it. It's more so upon me and just reading. In verse 12 it says, I said 9 through 14. So let's go with righteous, prosper, wherever they perish, there's joy. 11, it says, by the blessing of the upright, a city is raised up. Okay, you said that one. Number 12, it says, he who babbles, belittles another lacks good sense. Where hearest a person of discernment stays his silence. A gospel goes around revealing secrets, but a trustworthy person keeps confidence. Without clever tact, an army is defeated, and victory comes from much planning. So, next one is 13, verse 13.
So, you didn't have any comments on 11, right?
I didn't write anything for that, but there is.
What do you think? It's okay to say I'm not sure.
Well, for number 11, it's, I have this somewhere else. To lift up somebody is far better to break them down as a I'm not really sure.
You're concentrating on the one that you don't understand. How about the one you understand? How about 12?
I see this as myself because I not so much belittle another, but I belittle myself in saying that I'm not good enough to speak as a person because I don't believe that I have the tact or I have the mental fortitude. I think that's a good word for this. Mental fortitude to stand up and speak, but with my background as being a churchgoer since I was born, I know a lot of scripture, but I don't think that I'm capable enough to speak in this sort of environment, or I'm not supposed to.
If you allow God to use you. Moses was felt the same way. So look at Moses.
Well, you're proving that that's not true just by volunteering today. What do you think is wrong with belittle people? What's so wrong, what's so bad about belittling people?
What a stupid question to ask. Why would you even ask that?
Point made.
Well,
I've heard that no question is stupid.
That's fair. That's the words of a wise man.
A wise man is more so keen as we're going on through the scriptures. I might bring this out a little bit more, but
Let's answer the question. You guys just avoided the question. We don't want to answer the
what was the
question.
question?
So,
Well, I know, we all know what it feels like to be belittled, except for, of course, Holly. But, however, why is it so bad? Why does the person doing it lack good sense?
It's not productive or constructive. The person being belittled means it undermines self-confidence, it undermines growth, it undermines the bonds we have together. It goes against everything that the body's supposed to stand for.
and I think if you take it in the literal sense, your neighbor, the person living next door, you want to be able to trust the person living in the house next door to you. If you belittle them, you're creating an enemy. You're not being a good neighbor. You know, to the greatest extent possible, live peaceably with all people. You don't want to belittle the people that you live closest with. You want to support them and hold up, and that's what community is. If you're belittling your neighbor, you're not creating a strong community.
And then they do mean things to you.
Or your dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know, one comment can save a life, or one comment can push somebody over the edge.
Yes.
If your witness is gonna have any effect, it's gonna start with how you treat someone.
And you're destroying your self-esteem.
I think we miss the point in this all the time, which is why I continually try to bring it up. Because it changes the opinion of everybody listening to you.
It does.
You destroy that person's character in the minds of everybody that's hearing you. It's damaging. It's like throwing a grenade in the room. So you feel like complaining about the preacher? That's great. Come complain to me. Scripture says that, right? And if you don't feel like you can complain to the person you're complaining about, what's it say? Otherwise,
Stay
person of
silent.
discernment stays silent.
Yeah.
And then you gotta say, well, why do we do that in the first place? Because, I mean, it is one of the most damaging things we can do. And by the way, Jennifer, your group, your Zoom group is horrible. I cannot stay in the same room with that group,
You mean Anthony?
because that's all they do is this. It drives me up a wall.
Oh, great. Never mind.
Because all they do is focus on everybody else and how bad they are,
For
or
you.
stupid they are, or not understanding it. I mean, is that productive? That's not productive. A lot of times, we do it with the media, don't we? Right? Anybody here met Donald Trump? Well, then you ought not to have a bad word to say about him. Maybe his policies, maybe what he says, maybe have a comment about his demeanor as president, but not about his character, because you don't know him. Or Biden, or whoever, unless you've met him. So, what motivates us to do that, though? David?
Maybe how I see it is, in the moment, you are frustrated, or you're envious of this other person that you see, or it could be a multiple of other humanistic feelings that you have.
So in a moment of anger, King's behavior.
Yes.
And
Well, a moment of anger, jealousy, and something else.
rage.
That's part of anger. Being wrathful. It's kind of funny because my mom and my grandparents say this one line: if you have nothing good to say about a person, don't say it at all. And now that I'm thinking about it, they're right. That you should not say, if you have nothing good to say to them, to their face, then you should not say it in private, or you should not say it at all. But every person has their own way of thinking and their own way of understanding, but
You know what's really interesting? We had the arson that went down the other day in our neighborhood. A house and a car were caught on fire in our neighborhood. And everybody assumed it was the local schizophrenic who was the biggest sweetheart. And it was somebody totally different that wasn't even in our neighborhood that happened to start the fires. But because somebody's tongue wagged, they automatically picked on somebody who was mentally ill. And that is not the kind of community that should have been. That's not the kind of community I want to be in.
there's another thought that I had that I just had randomly. You don't want to. How does it go? I forgot that. I'll remember some other time. But oh wait, if you say something mean to a person, that mean comment might bite you in the rear end.
That's a saying of your grandpa? I don't
No,
think so.
that's just me. That's just me thinking. Looking through the Proverbs, I know it's pretty great to look at that, but and sometimes we forget that there are things in here that talks about how our conduct should be. But here it says in 13, a gossip goes around revealing secrets, but a trustworthy person keeps confident, or
Keeps confidence, say confidence.
if you're having, it's like, if you're talking to somebody and you don't know that how should I put this? You're saying something that's troubling you to a person, but then that person goes on and tells somebody else, and then somebody else knows, and somebody else knows.
It sounds like me.
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming myself. But if you know that it's right to just, if you need somebody to talk to, you talk to them, and then if they're trustworthy, then they'll not tell it to somebody else. But you don't really know ever.
For any reason.
You don't know what.
Especially to save your own space. That's the hardest one right there. when you know things that are true and other people do not know, and they're making decisions and assumptions based on an untruth, and you cannot break confidence even though it would be to everyone's benefit. That's the most difficult time.
I'm just trying to bring this out as a conversational piece between all the whole assembly. Not really that it's conversational piece.
Part of the assembly? I thought it was.
I think the beauty of this is there is always, when it comes to the town's room to grow. Because even on the end of being hurt by somebody saying something that's untrue, you learn to let go. Like, when I went through my divorce, I had people say that they didn't believe certain things or whatever, and that wasn't on me, that was on them. That was their opinion. They weren't walking the walk with me, and that was okay. And I also learned to grow and be like, okay, so that brother or sister isn't in that place to want to walk with me or believe the horrible things, and that's okay, because I learned from that experience on how to let go of other people's opinions and let them grow with God. So there's always lessons, like in every part of it. If you're on the end of gossip, or if you're the one gossiping.
Um, 13, if we could move forward. 13, 3 verse through 18.
Say the address again, please.
It's Proverbs 13, verse 3 through 18. And my where I'm trying to go is 17 of that area. But
Do you want me to
could somebody read, please?